Hello everyone. This video will be a reaction video to the channel Beyond Fireship. It's actually a very famous developer channel, and I think the main channel it's Fireship. You probably know about Fireship channel already, and it's this is his second channel, the Fireship channel. Has a lot of subscribers. I'm not sure how many exactly, but this one you can clearly see that currently has 250, 100 subscribers. 1,000, sorry, 250,000 subscribers, not 100. Yeah, he actually did a video about FlutterFlow, which is the name of the video is most overpowered way to build mobile apps. Today I'm going to react to this video. And this is like a new series of my channel, which I'm reacting to FlutterFlow videos because I think in the future there'll be more videos. If you guys actually know about a video that is famous and it is about FlutterFlow, you can actually send me the video so I can react to it as well. But yeah, let's watch the video. If you haven't watched the video already, let's watch it together. And I'll just pause the video. So let you know, I'll just pause the video sometimes so I can just say what I mean about it. Okay, so this is the video. Let's begin.
Few years ago when it was in beta, I instantly loved it because it made mobile app development so much faster. But nowadays in 2023, Flutter development is like 10 times faster than it was thanks to visual editing magic.
Would you like to see a magic trick?
In today's video, I'll show you exactly how.
Yeah, you can clearly see that this rendering, it's not the real app that he already deployed. And you can see clearly that is rendered on the phone.
I'm building my own native iOS and Android apps, but instead of writing all the code by hand like I've always done in the past, I fully embraced the productivity boost of a visual editor called FlutterFlow, the sponsor of today's video.
Yeah, I actually will stop here because it's very important to say that the FlutterFlow actually sponsored this video and it's a paid content in this channel. And it is not actually the Beyond Fireship, who is actually made the video by himself. So just to let you know that it is a sponsored material in his channel. I think this is important to know because I'm saying this because his channel is actually more specific on like languages and frameworks JS frameworks like Vue or Angular or PHP, like Laravel or wherever it is. What I'm trying to say is that his channel, as long as I know, his channel is not a low code or no code tools, and because this is a low code tool, it's one of the first probably in his channel. I'm saying this because of the comments, but we'll talk about the comments in the end of the video.
But please don't tell them I would have made this video for free because the product is really that good. And as you may know, I'm always highly skeptical of low-code tools because they often produce garbage code, then you hit a brick wall when you need something custom. But that's not the case with FlutterFlow. In the next 5 minutes, we'll build a full-stack mobile app that handles user authentication along with real-time data in Firestore. When you first sign up, it has a demo app. So let's first do a quick tour of the most important features. A Flutter app is structured as a tree of widgets. In the middle, we have our canvas where we can traverse these widgets. Flutter provides a bunch of built-in widgets that we can actually just grab here from the sidebar, then drag and drop them into the UI visually.
Yeah, so about the dragging and dropping, I actually, like 90% of the times I don't drag and drop my widgets. I actually add them on the left side. And I think it is done like you can drag and drop them, of course, but I don't do it this way. So I'm just saying that I'm not dragging and dropping the widgets. For me, it's faster to actually add them on the left bar if you have a lot of widgets, of course.
And once you have a widget selected, you can go to the right side and update its properties, like alignment, padding, color, shadows, background images, and all kinds of other stuff. That's a huge productivity boost right there, but many widgets need to be interactive. For that, we can go to the Actions tab and then choose an event, like on double tap, that will run some code when this event is fired. We might navigate to another page, close a dialog, or even make a call to Firestore or some other API. We can also easily add animations when actions are triggered. On top of that, we can document each widget, which will insert a comment into the code. And
Yeah. So about the comment, let me just
actions
go
are
back a
triggered.
little
On
bit.
top
Yeah, about the comments, I'm not sure. I have actually never used this functionality. Uh, this I think he mentioned that because it's very important for the developers to actually add comments to their code. But because I'm not the one who is actually writing this code, it's it doesn't make a lot of sense to actually add comments to the to the code. Probably if you're using FlutterFlow only for the visual part, the UI and UX elements, it's good. You can do that. But I myself, I only did it when the FlutterFlow initially announced that you can add comments into the code or like the documentation. But to be honest, I never used it. I don't know if there is the guys from FlutterFlow, I mean the users from FlutterFlow are actually using that. So yeah, just wanted to add that.
of that, we can document each widget, which will insert a comment into the code. And speaking of the code, we can view it by clicking this code button up here. That'll take us to the code view, where we can view the source code for an entire page, or we can click on an individual widget to highlight just that code. And as an experienced Flutter developer, I feel like I understand what this code does.
Yeah, about that, I probably am not as experienced of the guy that owns the channel, but I myself actually code for, let's say, 4 or 5 years using Flutter alone. So yeah, that's right. It is the code that is produced. It's very readable. It's very structured, and of course you can export it and then keep on building on your favorite IDE like Xcode or Android Studio. I totally agree about that. I totally agree about that.
But one of the more complicated aspects of development is state management. On the sidebar here, we have our app state, which allows you to organize global state that
Yeah, this is more like a code specific, like a developer specific. I don't think that the normal users of FlutterFlow, they actually know about the state management and they care about the state management. And I think this is actually the best thing of FlutterFlow, to not think about those things, because FlutterFlow is actually, that's why you're paying, right? That's why, because there are people like saying why I should pay for FlutterFlow when I can code it myself. Well, you're paying it because if you are a low coder or no coder, you're paying for things for the FlutterFlow to actually manage that instead of you. So, like in this video, it says about the state management. This is all done by FlutterFlow. You don't need to write a single line of code to use the state management, like the app state and the page state and the component state.
that can be used anywhere in the application. In addition, we can make this state persisted, which will store it on device between sessions. We can use it in the application, like by setting it as the text field on the button. Then from there,
yeah, that's true. It's strange. It's very strange example, to be honest. There is no, I don't see a point when a user will actually use an app state to set the name of the button, uh, except if you actually have multiple buttons in your page, to use the app state, and to use actually the same name across all the buttons. And if you change the name, or not the name, but if you change the text of the button to be changed across all your pages, this is the only possible way that I can think of that the user can actually use app state to set the text of your buttons. But I guess that he just wanted to show how the app state could be used. I actually use the app state to store my temporary data in the app state, this is how I'm using in the app state, and not for texts that are like that, or a text that can be changeable. Like, for example, with this button, I can have an app state, set the name of the button to the app state, but this text will be changeable. So if a user interacts with the app, let's say that he clicks on something on the image or something else, the button text will change. So that's why I'm using that's another way I can use the app state inside my app to set the text of the button.
Or we can create an action to update the state and have the entire application react to it. But you don't want all data to be global. If we click on the widget tree here in the sidebar, you'll notice that we can select every page in the application. Pages are special because they can be navigated to with the router, but they also have the option to have their own state. You'll notice a state management button here on the right where we can add stateful variables to it. That's cool, but you might also have individual widgets that have their own local state. As the widget tree grows more complex, you'll want to break it down into your own custom components that can be reused. You can do that by selecting a point in the
Yeah, there is actually a new menu, like recently announced, like week, or I think this is the menu. It's like from week or two, so it's very cool menu. I have to say about it. I just want to say that this menu, it's much better than the last one.
widget tree, then right-click and convert to component, or just click on the diamond icon. What's awesome is that you can now edit this component in isolation, and it can define its own local state. It's all
Yeah, about the states, about the app state, the page state, and the local state. To be honest, I have to be honest with you guys, because you subscribe to my channel probably, or you're watching this video, is that mainly I use the app state, and I don't use the local state and the page state. And the reason for that is that like I said, I'm storing the data. I'm storing data inside my state, in this case, app state, and I need it to be across like all the pages. But of course, if you still want to be specific for a page or for a local state, you can still do it this way. It's totally fine.
very logical, and you don't need to think about implementing some complex state management system. If we look at the code, it generates a model file for the data itself, then uses built-in Flutter primitives.
Yeah, about the model, this is actually also new to FlutterFlow. It's, I think, like a month ago or something like that. They updated the way that they structure their code, or they output their code, or they create a code. And they now use a model, which is actually more advanced and more preferred way. So it is much appreciated that the FlutterFlow are actually thinking about what the code is being produced. And they are thinking about that the code producing can be used actually outside FlutterFlow as well.
Like set state to update this data in the application. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the theme editor. From this panel, we can customize the design.
This is also new, I have to say about it. This is also new, like, I don't know, like a month, probably, mostly. But it's much appreciated. Again, we have the theme settings, and we have design settings, we have the colors, we have the typography, and we have the theme widgets, which is actually amazing if you're a UI or UX developer.
Design system.
And it's actually, sorry to interrupt you again, but it's actually like saving a ton of coding using only those 4 settings over here. It will actually save you like hours and hours of coding only because of those 4 settings over here.
Like responsive breakpoints, colors, and typography. And you can also manage custom fonts and icons here as well. All the features I've showed you up until this point will likely take care of 90% of your UI and state management needs. However, at some point, you'll likely need to write custom code. Like maybe you have a widget you want to reuse from a different project, or maybe you just have some custom Dart function that does some fancy math. The custom code panel allows you to write that code and then apply it in the application visually. Oh, and what do we have here? An OpenAI panel that can write this code for you.
Yeah, about that OpenAI codex, that was actually added, like, I think it was one of the first thing that they added when they added the custom code, and it's there. It's there like since, I don't know, like 1 year, maybe more than 1 year, and I don't think that this feature is used after the release of ChatGPT. because with the ChatGPT, it's actually it's much better to just use ChatGPT. This is my own opinion. I don't use the OpenAI. I only use it like I think once or twice, the OpenAI codecs. But if you have ChatGPT, I think it's or ChatGPT or ChatGPT 4, it's like much better because ChatGPT 4 it's not open to the API, so this will actually use ChatGPT 3.5. ChatGPT, if you're a paid member to OpenAI, you can use ChatGPT 4, and which is much better than compared to ChatGPT 3.5 regarding coding.
This thing is ridiculously overpowered. And if that weren't enough, we can also write unit tests
Yeah, that was actually the Fibonacci.
and write this code for you. This thing is ridiculously overpowered.
He actually he actually wrote the calculated Fibonacci and numbers. And this is actually one of the first challenges when you're a coder, because there are a lot of logic behind it, and it's like I said, one of the first thing when you're when you're becoming a coder. It's one of the first thing that they ask you to do, or one of the first challenges that you have to overcome. And there was actually a question like yesterday on the TV, or I just saw it in a quiz game about the Fibonacci numbers, and it was funny because if you're a coder, if you're a developer, you should know about the Fibonacci numbers for sure. Yeah, so it's you can read more about it in the internet.
Overpowered. And if that weren't enough, we can also write unit tests for this code visually to make sure that we're actually getting valid code. There's a ton of other features we could talk about here, but now
yeah. So about the testing, he didn't wait actually for the test to run, which was strange for me. He should wait for the test, right? He should wait for the test to finish and then show us that everything is working okay. He also didn't change the name of the function. He let the name of the functions to be a new custom function, which is not a good coding practice, and not good practice at all, like in general. But it was, for me, it was strange. He didn't show us the testing, and he didn't. So what he's testing, and yeah, probably he wants to show that you can test them. You can test what you wrote in the custom function, but yeah, if you ask me, it would be great if you can actually if he showed us what this looks like in really when you test it.
Visually to make sure that we're actually getting valid code. There's a ton of other features we could talk about here, but now I want to take you behind the scenes and show you how I'm using it to build a native mobile app for Fireship Pro members. The Fireship website uses Firebase as the back end, and one thing that's especially awesome about FlutterFlow is that it integrates with Firebase as well as Supabase out of the box. When you create a new project, you can actually just get
That's true, and I can also add that more are coming. SQLite are coming, and also SQL based databases are coming, and I think they are coming like in the next, I would say, week or two from the recording of this video. So for sure, more database backend are coming, and of course, you can use the API. But I think he mentioned that after that.
Give it your Firebase project ID and add FlutterFlow as an editor to your project, and it will automatically generate all of your config files as well as Firebase rules and things like that. It eliminates a lot of tedious configuration work. Now, once you have the project set up, you can actually create a schema for your data in Firestore, and this allows you to use that data model anywhere in the Flutter app. On top of that, it even has a schema validation.
Yeah, about the schema of Firebase, Firestore, and Firebase, it is actually connected. That's pretty cool about FlutterFlow. It is actually connecting your schema with Firestore and Firebase, which I think it's great actually, because for example, you can see actually here the Firebase rules. They are actually connected to your Firebase rules. in Firestore. And right now they are not deployed, as you can probably see, but you can deploy them and you can sync them, which is, I think, that's great actually.
Tool to make sure that the schema actually matches up with the data in the database. Now, if you're not using Firebase, you can also make API calls and then use JSON path as a query language. For example, if you have an existing Next.js app with API routes, you could call those API routes to bring in data to your Flutter app, or any other API for that matter. But here's where things start to get really cool. As you can see here, I have a login page to use the application. We've got multiple sign-in methods, and usually that's a lot of work to get all coded up, because normally you would log in, create a document in Firestore for that user, and then navigate to the appropriate screen. Well, we can actually handle that entire process without writing any code. If we click
That's true. That's totally true.
on a button and then go to the actions, it'll take us to the action flow editor. In this case, we want to implement Google sign-in, so we just choose the Google Auth provider and we're done. In many cases, though,
yeah, about the Google one, it's right. About the Apple one, it's not totally like that. You're just not clicking on from the drop down because you have a lot of settings that you have to set up in the backend or in the dashboard of Apple, and that's the reason for that is that Dart is a Google product, Flutter is a Google product, and Firestore is a Google product. So that's why they are like all connected. But with Apple, you probably need like 30 minutes or something like that to set up everything in order to actually select the drop down for Apple and it's to work properly.
you may also want to create a document in Firestore when the user signs up. We can do that automatically by checking the box for Create Collection. But once the user is authenticated, we then need to navigate to a page. We can handle that by adding a second action to this flow. We'll
Yeah, about that.
Tell it to navigate to our profile page, and we can even throw in a sliding animation in here if we want.
Yeah, about that, about the login, there is, if you actually go to the settings of your app, there is in the app settings, there is actually a way to navigate to tailor to set up a route which you want when the user is authenticated. Where do you want to go in which page you want to go? So basically you have two main routes, which is non-authenticated users and authenticated users. And when a user is actually authenticated, then they need to go to this page, for example. So I'm not sure about it. It is arguably we can talk about it, and there someone has to actually try that. But what I'm trying to say is that you don't even have to navigate to the second page when a user logged in. In theory, this should be done automatically by FlutterFlow, and in theory, you cannot actually have actions under login or register, because if you have actions under login or register, they will be not executed. I'm not sure about that, like I said, but this was like how it's supposed to work or how it was working before. I'm not sure if right now it's working like that, but the logic, it's that if someone is authenticated or login or register, they will be automatically sent to the page that you set up in your settings.
But what if the logic here is even more complex? Like maybe we want to do one thing for pro members and do something entirely different for non-pro members.
Yeah, about that as well. If you're not using navbar, I would do it. I think I have a video about that. I will actually do it with a routing page. So I will have a page which is called routing, and then I will do it there. And the reason for that is that when you log in, you have to do it this way. But if you register, you have to also do it this way. And like I said, I'm not sure if you are out user and login user, the action below will actually run. I'm not sure about that. So that's why, like I said, I'll do it with a routing page. And then I will have, and right now you have the multiple conditions. So you can actually, I will actually do it this way. I will have one routing page, on page load of the routing page. We'll set up multiple conditions. And then I would check if the user is admin or not, or a moderator or whatever, and I would just send them to the right page.
We can handle that by adding a condition. Now that the user is authenticated, we have access to the state of the user, and we can branch off our workflow based on whether or not that user is a pro member. From there, each user could be navigated to a
Yeah, about that, you can actually copy and paste the actions. You don't need to create a new actions. This action is very simple. It's just navigating to a page, but you can actually click on the dots. You can actually click on those three dots and then copy this action, and then click on this plus and then paste the action. This would be the way I will do it. I will not create a new action. I'll just copy this action and then paste it, and then I'll delete this action, the old one.
a different screen, or we could even add additional backend calls here to one of the API routes or to Firestore to create a new document. And that's all it takes to.
Yeah, about that, I'm not sure if this will actually work. Like I said, I don't think that the actions after the login or will actually execute. And I don't think I'm not sure, and I'm pretty sure this will not work to have a out login, and then out create account. I'm pretty sure this will not work.
To log in a user
It's not how FlutterFlow works, and this is not the FlutterFlow logic.
with complex backend logic. Oh, and one other thing I want to point out here is that the actual UI for the sign-in buttons was not designed by me personally, but came from one of FlutterFlow's built-in templates. You can just drag these right into the canvas and tweak their settings. And if you're building multiple Flutter apps, you can create what are called theme widgets to reuse your own widgets across multiple projects. And that's a huge feature if you run an agency that creates apps for other people. In any case, when a user logs in as a pro member, I want to take agency that creates apps for other people. In any case,
yeah, strange logic here. Like I said, this will probably not work. You have a delay here of 1000 milliseconds for the first action, and you have a create document for the second action, and then you navigate to. Okay. Probably he just wanted to show that you can have multiple actions in the chain tree.
Case, when a user logs in as a pro member, I want to take them to a profile page that shows their pro status as well as their total experience points. You might be wondering, though, how and where do we fetch this data? Well, you can handle data fetching at any point in the widget tree, but in this case, we'll do it at the page level. When we click on the page widget, we can then find the button for Backend Query, which allows us to create a query that can either grab a single document from Firestore, a collection from Firestore, or make an API call to some other service. In this case, we just want to fetch a single document.
Yeah, about that, about APIs, I don't know what is the FlutterFlow logic, but you can actually query an API call using an action as well, not only from the widgets, but you can use an action as well. And you cannot actually use actions for querying Firebase documents. But just to let you know, you can. It's for the new user. It's a little bit complicated and it's a little bit mixed up. Why you can query app call from the widget tree and from the action, but you cannot do it from for the Firebase storage. And actually, I did a video about that. How you can actually query document or documents using an action and not doing it from the widget tree.
From the user's collection that's linked to the currently logged in user. By default, it will use Firebase real-time features to update the document whenever a change is made, although you can change that behavior by making it a one-time query. And that's
yeah, about that, he's actually having a page called My Profile, and inside this page, My Profile, he have a query, and he's using a query to get the data of the user. I will actually not do it this way. The reason for that is that you actually have one more query because you already have like the most information of the user. You probably have the display name. You probably don't have the total XP, but you have the email. And I'll actually do it. I'll actually first time when the user sign up, I'll actually keep the data in the app state, for example, or just keep the data as a document. Or keep the data in the app state, and I'll actually pass this data. I will use a page parameter, which is on the top right. It's over here to get the data from there, and not to query the data one more time because this is one more time querying the Firebase itself. I will not do it this way. I don't think this is a efficient way of building your app, but this is how he done it.
Now that we have that data, we can start using it throughout the application. All the values in brackets like pro status, display name, and total XP are based on the Firestore schema that we set up earlier. If you're wondering how that works, we can look at the code and see here that it has a stream builder wrapped around the entire page. And that's the exact way I would set it up if I were doing it myself in the code. But now let's go to the achievements page, which makes a query to a Firestore collection.
Yeah, so this is making a query to the Firestore collection of the progress, which looks fine. It looks fine to me. This is how I'm going to do it as well.
It's the same basic process, but we can do additional things here like filtering and ordering on the Firestore query. One thing I find extra cool here is that you'll notice we have 4 different elements in the list, and that's because it auto-populates those to give you a preview of what it should look like when you fetch your data. But now let's assume we're ready to run our application and then deploy it to the app stores. The first thing we can do is click on the eyeball to go into preview mode. In preview mode, it won't actually fetch your data, but things like navigation will work, so you can get the general idea of how things are looking on a variety of different devices.
Yeah, about the preview mode, I actually never use the preview mode. He's right about that. That you get the navigation and like the basic things, but I never use preview mode. I use the test mode. Test mode actually right now works perfectly for me. It's super fast. It really loads super fast, like 2 or 3 minutes, which is great. And then you can, of course, instant reload for 10 seconds. And that's why I really don't use the preview mode, to be honest.
Like navigation will work, so you can get the general idea of how things are looking on a variety of different devices. Now, to actually run the app, we can click on the lightning bolt to test it in the browser.
Yeah, lightning bolt, I don't want
variety of different devices. Now, to actually run the app, we can click on the lightning bolt.
Yeah, the lightning mode it's a little bit down, but yeah, it's the run mode and the test mode. The run mode, it's actually what is the difference between the run mode and the test mode? The run mode, it's a mode you run it once and you get a link which you can actually use in the future. Like you can use like anytime, it will never expire. At least if you don't delete it will never expire. And I think you can, I'm not sure if they changed that, but I think you can share this link. But I think they changed that and now it's not shareable anymore. And the test mode is actually only runs for 30 minutes. And that's the max amount that it can be run, but you can do instant reload, which is great. If you change something in your app, you can instant reload it for 10 seconds, and then you can instantly see the changes that you made on your app. So that those are the difference between the run mode and the test mode.
To test it in the browser. This works pretty well, but not all features are supported in the browser.
Yeah, about that, he is actually getting white text in his buttons. And I'm sure like 99% from my user experience using FlutterFlow is because he actually enabled multi-languages. And yeah, I think he's about to show that. And when you enable multi-languages, you have to write the text for every single language. If you don't do that, it will display nothing. It will display like that. I was actually confused myself first when I saw that, and I was just thinking, why do I get that? And the text is black, but I don't see any text. It's a little bit confusing, to be honest. This should be more in FlutterFlow. They should probably make it more visually to a user that they are using like text which is not written for this specific language. That's why you get like a blank text. And to be honest, I think like I'm 99% sure, let's say 100% sure that the guy doing the video was struggling with that as well, and was not knowing why he get a white space and not the text itself, because it looks ugly, right? It doesn't look right to just display it like that and do a video about it. And he, like I said, he had like 250,000 subscribers and just show an app which doesn't have text in it, it looks strange. It really looks strange. But like I said, this is because of the translations, and this is because he added multiple languages, and that's why you can see it. It looks like that.
Like the device camera, vibration, and stuff like that.
Yeah, about that, let me just go back a little bit. So this is important.
Now, to actually run the app, we can click on the lightning bolt to test it in the browser. This works pretty well, but not all features are supported in the browser, like the device camera, vibration, and stuff like that.
Yeah, about that, they are actually supported. That's not true. It depends on the package that you're using. If the package actually supports the web version, it will actually support in the web version. So the misleading here, and I get that from users who are new to FlutterFlow, is that you cannot use, for example, let's say he said the camera, he mentioned the camera and he said the vibrations. Yeah, the vibrations, I can agree with that, because vibrations is only device based. Like, you cannot vibrate your computer, right? It doesn't work like that. But about the camera or microphone or anything like that, uh, as I said, as long as they support web, you should be good to go. Very important is that it will actually not work with test mode or run mode. And the reason for that is that they don't support it. They are really not a web deployment. They're not really a web. They're like an emulator. You can imagine them as emulators to your apps, but they're not a real web deployment app. And in order to use, for example, the camera, you have to, I talk this in my videos, you have to actually deploy the application for web, which you can do from the settings, and then you are able to access the camera, the microphone, and any package, like I said, that supports web deployment. And I actually have a video about that in my channel, how you can actually use FlutterFlow and use the camera, and it is coming in the future a video about how you can record and use your microphone as well in the web, and the same code to use for mobile as well.
Another option is to download the actual code and run it locally in Android Studio or Xcode. And when it comes to Android, you can actually build and download the APK directly. This is a
Yeah, that's great, actually. I, to be honest, don't do that anymore. And the reason for that is that I'm very happy with the new ID of FlutterFlow. They're constantly changing it, and I think they actually made it even better, like in the past days. And the code analyzer should work better. I don't know if you saw that, but it should work better. And then downloading the APK, I only download the APK when I have to run, like, to test like a specific app based or mobile based things like push notifications, for example, which I cannot test in the web, or let's say something else I cannot. I can think it off the top of my head, but like 99% of the things I want to test them using the web environment, because if I get any error, it's very easy to actually open my dev tools, to open the console, and to see the errors there. It's like, because I actually coded like apps, or I coded the same apps using Flutter and Android Studio, and I can tell you that using FlutterFlow, it's like way faster than just coding it in the IDE. But we'll get to it after the video.
paid feature, but if you're serious about deploying a native app, it's money well spent. And if you go to the settings tab, it integrates with CodeMagic for one-click deployment to the app stores. But even if you're not serious, the free tier is a great way to get things built quickly, and also just a great way to learn Flutter to see how different patterns can be implemented. The reason I'm using it to build my app, though, is because it writes code that I understand and like, and just eliminates a ridiculous amount of friction. Like, I didn't even talk about push notifications, app permissions, or multilingual support, all of which can also be handled by FlutterFlow.
Yeah, you can see over here, he actually added multi-language, and I think that's why he didn't, the text was not displayed.
Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Great. So that was the video. Thank you very much for watching. And if you actually go over to the comments are very salty, I can say. Like this one, for example, which have 306 likes, which seems like a great tool for people who are not developers. But I'm not sure I wouldn't be more productive using this just than just writing code. Yeah, about that. Actually, post this in the FlutterFlow experts channel that we have. And we actually, with Josh has a great idea. We can actually challenge you guys from the beyond Fireship or Fireship community. And if you're a developer, I'm actually a developer, but I don't want to challenge myself because I already believe that using FlutterFlow, we actually we actually uh, have less time building the product than using code, writing code itself, uh, and much less time. Like we're talking about 4 times less or something like that. But let's say that I'm not saying that I'm the greatest developer out there, and I am not for sure. And there are like a lot of developers that are much better than me. I'm sure about that. So we actually wanted to challenge any developer that think that they can build something faster than us using FlutterFlow. We challenge them. I don't know what is the challenge right now, but we challenge them, and we can even bet money. I think, but I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about the proof of concept, which one it's better. And there is like, I think this is the funny a funny command that I can safely add Flutter developer to my resume, and I think this is because he's saying that he can use FlutterFlow and then output the code and then say that he wrote this code. Probably that's why he wrote it like that. And then the other one is, as a Flutter developer, I would say this is a good for very simple applications. As soon as your applications grows in complexity or you need custom validation logic, it would be definitely to implement them using this tool. Also, what if you want to use specific library for state management, data validation, or data class generation, but you don't know how well FlutterFlow can handle those situations. If those tools were that good, everyone, including me, would save a ton of time. Yeah, actually, I don't agree with that. I think you can build anything in FlutterFlow, and that's why I set up my channel actually to prove that, to prove this concept that you can build anything in FlutterFlow. And the reason for that is that FlutterFlow has your own, can write your own custom code. And when you're writing your own custom code, you're actually can do anything, right? So you can do anything, and that's why you can implement like a custom state management, for example, or anything that you can think of that you can write in your own IDE. You can actually transfer it and write it in FlutterFlow. And that's why I'm using FlutterFlow. Actually, in the end of the day, I'm using FlutterFlow because it's actually saving me time. But it's actually great for me, for people thinking that they will actually not save time using FlutterFlow, because I am saving time and I'm proving to people that this is actually true. And I can say that I'm one of the first one who was actually using FlutterFlow. So I'm very grateful about that, and I saved a lot of time using FlutterFlow. And yeah, about that, expect a challenge. We'll go live next time. We'll go live with Josh. We'll actually do that. And like I said, I challenge you. If you're a developer, if you're a Flutter developer, I challenge you, we will get a random task, a random app, a random project that we have to build side by side. We are going to use Flutter, one of us. It will be 1 versus 1 or 2 versus 2. Doesn't really matter for us. If it's 2 versus 2, I think we can do it in 30 minutes. I'm pretty sure. Like, we're talking about a simple app at the end of the day. But yeah, if you're a Flutter developer, let me know, contact me, write in the comments, and we can do this challenge. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, please like, and if you like this kind of content that I'm reacting to videos, like I said, please like this video so I know that in the future I can post more videos like that. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Take care.